I'm Jessica Ann Bogart for Audio Story Time. Today's story is an odd mix of fan fiction and faux fiction, which is the opposite of fan fiction. The subject of this tug-of-war is Star Wars.
May the Force be clobbered!
Welcome to
Audio
Story.
Hello, I am Callum.
And I am Sarah.
Sarah is joining me in the reading of Abduction, Part 2, The Meeting.
Darth Vader used the Force to bring an elf called Ocean to do his bidding. That did not start out well, and his plans just keep backfiring. To help indicate which person wrote what, I read Ocean's contributions in this first part before the rewrite. Callum reads the rewrite, but the other nails on a chalkboard voice reads the Star Wars nut throughout.
The Abduction, Meeting Muck-Up. This is where their story's first start attempt went off the rails. It was when Anakin Darth Vader, whom the fangirl kept calling the former Dark Lord, was about to take the Ocean Elf to meet Obi-Wan and Yoda. She was getting all kinds of strong hints and messages that Ocean was never going to turn into a Vader sympathizer, but she just kept trying to bend Ocean's will to make her comply to her wishes. Ben Kenobi's reception in this purple prose was what really brought this section to a screeching, grinding halt. Ocean initially tried to be courteous toward Ben and Yoda back then, even if she was hostile toward Anakin Vader.
With this, the masked man, his respirator still obnoxiously loud, led the elf down a dark passage into the heart of a magnificent cathedral-like temple.
The fangirl was hopelessly stuck on Vader's mask, his respirator, his loud breathing, and the entire suit. Ocean was not about to indulge her. All she wrote was this.
She followed him silently along, gazing intently at everything.
This is the Jedi Temple.
He said,
We are now entering its heart. In a few moments, you shall meet Master Yoda. He may seem very old and frail, and he is very old, but when he needs to fight, he ditches his cane and uses a lightsaber technique very rarely used.
The elf nodded to indicate she understood.
Yoda's age and arthritis, which the Star Wars nut decided he should have, was another thing she obsessed about, because it involved pain.
I cannot pronounce its name, as it is not in the ancient dialect of my former life. The writing on my chest plate is, however, it translates to his deeds shall not be forgiven until he merits. By the way, here is Obi-Wan.
the former Dark Lord said, bringing the elf before an elderly man about 57 years of age. Ben carried a walking stick in one hand and had white hair and beard. His eyes were such a piercing blue, but they seemed to see through the newcomer, directly to her soul.
Ocean said nothing about this eyes-piercing soul cliché yet, but she corrected it in the next attempt on this sad collaboration.
Welcome here.
He said,
I just wish I could get out of this bulky suit.
the former Dark Lord says, sighing through his respirator.
It's so bulky and cumbersome, I can barely move.
The elf smiled softly up at Obi-Wan.
Hello, sir. I am Ocean Elf, and you probably knew I was coming before I did.
Yes, dear.
He said,
I knew you would not be long in coming. Master Yoda will be with you momentarily.
The elf nodded.
By the way,
Ben said with a slight frown.
The elf frowned warily back, eyes beginning to narrow.
you forgot to remove your shoes.
This made her back go up.
Excuse me?
This is a sacred place. And if you do not wish to remove your shoes, we will make the exception for you.
Well, wasn't that a fine welcome? A real short shrift and condescension all in one. Ocean did not forget to remove her shoes. She didn't know she was supposed to because Anakin, I'm so important, Darth Vader, forgot to tell her about the apparent protocol about this place, if there really was one. He was too busy complaining about his suit.
Insulted, Ocean turned red, then rolled her eyes.
Not all sacred places make that demand, so next time tell a newcomer beforehand, okay?
She said coolly and turned to make an exit.
I so wish I could get out of this wretched armor.
The former Sith shouted, his voice resounding around the ceiling of the chamber.
Wow.
Ben said,
And boy did Ben go on a tedious Anakin Vader boot-licking ramble.
Never have I heard Skywalker say so much. It seems like he desperately wants to get out of this wretched thing. After all, this poor fellow has been stuck in it for 30-something years. He needs a more supple suit. One that will allow him to move freely. We also have to get that obnoxiously loud respirator fixed. We'll see what we can do. The medical droids might have some ideas, but does anyone else?
Obi-Wan inquires.
Shut up!
Just which anyone else was Ben babbling about anyway? Yoda hasn't shown up yet, and the only ones that seem to be there are Anakin Vader, Ben, and Ocean, who has just been utterly humiliated and then ignored by the other two, mostly Ben. She couldn't care less about Anakin Vader.
Ocean's head was pounding by now. She'd had enough of Anakin and his suit, and now even Obi-Wan was going on about it. Worse still, was feeling quite disillusioned and humiliated by Ben's reception. She was not willing to stick around for more unpleasant surprises. Once out of the temple, she turned and ran back down the halls in the direction Anakin had taken her. She found the room she had originally been summoned to by Anakin, and it was from there that she planned to make her way back home. Or wake up from the weirdest dream she'd had in a while. She wasn't sure at this point which it was. There, she took some time to brush away some hot tears that spilled from her eyes, catch her breath, calm down, and then take out her transport device that she was not at all sure would even work in a different galaxy from her own. But she was still too frazzled to read the display, and even when she found Earth on it, she would still have to key in a specific location on that planet to be transported there. Unfortunately, because of the distance, that was impossible. She only had the hemispheres to choose from, and once there, she would be able to narrow it down further, but she was not feeling prepared to risk landing in some other strange, inhospitable place on Earth either. Ocean pocketed the little transporter, appreciating this quiet time to herself, to help her recover a little from the strange events, and prepare for what she was going to have to do next if she wanted to get back home again.
As Ocean sat, quietly thinking, a little green man approached. He wore a robe exactly like that of Obi-Wan, and the former said,
Yoda, I am.
He said. His voice was sort of croaky and raspy, but kindly.
Hi.
She responded stiffly, looking warily at him.
Something troubles you, it does.
He said.
How perceptive of you.
She said with a sneer.
Tell me.
She shrugged.
Much as I'd like to unload, I don't think that would be such a good idea.
Watching you I was, when ran you from the temple. Called after you I did, but hear me you did not. Why is not to return home?
That's funny. Surely if Yoda had really been there and called out to Ocean, that would have been mentioned before. And why was he asking about her returning home? The others just wanted her there to use her for Vader. So why did Yoda concern himself with her going home? The way he went about this made it sound like he just wanted to get rid of her.
I need to get a better grip on myself before trying to operate my transporter for home. And I'm not sure it could work from here. My home is too far away and something might go wrong. It was not my idea to come here in the first place. But then, I'm sure you know about that as well.
Trouble there is on Earth.
Yoda said.
There is always trouble on Earth, but not for me currently. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to return.
And that was it. Yoda had no wisdom or comfort for Ocean. Yoda had a great big brain fart. The reason? Anakin Darth Vader. The self-proclaimed Star Wars nut had Yoda racing neck and neck with Ben Kenobi, both in a pathetic race to shove their heads as far up Anakin's ass as possible. That would become apparent in the rewrite of this particular section and in the rest of the story. And they were all sickeningly one-track-minded about their goal of trying to force Ocean and Anakin into the togetherness bit. The rewrite of the meeting with Ben and Yoda, even without the no-shoes protocol problem, turned out to be not much better. Restarting back at the entrance to the compound with Anakin Vader and Ocean Elf.
With this, he stopped before an oak door, lifting a creaking latch, which echoed around the room. He pulled it open and led the elf into a cavernous room.
The storm outside had stopped. Elf looked around with an ice-cold expression.
Directly before her sat Master Yoda and Master Kenobi.
This is Obi-Wan.
Anakin said, introducing her to a man who was about 57 years of age.
The elf frowned at Anakin, then turned to glance warily at Ben.
This fellow was a kindly gentleman with white hair and a snowy white beard trailing down to his chest. His eyes were of a piercing blue color, and they stared right through to one's soul.
The Star Wars fan apparently had a thing for eyes piercing through and seeing one's very soul. But these eyes had no such effect on the elf.
It is nice to meet you, dear. Please just call me Ben.
The man said, rising and shaking the elf's hand.
She returned the handshake, but rather stiffly.
Then a raspy voice of the person next to Ben added,
Yes, nice to meet you it is.
Directly to Ben's left was an elderly man, small and green, sitting in a chair. He wore the same style robes as Obi-Wan.
Ocean Elf gave Yoda a stiff handshake.
Understand in time you will. Very difficult to explain it is.
Anakin, what happened to you?
It's nothing. I'll go dry off.
He answered quickly and exited. Nope, he couldn't bring himself to admit he messed up big time and got an Ocean Elf mad at him. She spilled the details anyway.
He shouldn't have brought me here and prevented me from trying to go back. That is why I threw a small wave at him.
Our apologies. But now that you are here, please sit down, dear. I can sense through the Force that you must be starving.
The elf winced, then looked warily back, wondering silently to herself if she might be starting to look a bit pale. But apologies and strange space food were not going to get her back home. She only said,
I can wait till...
A plate of what looked like fish and rice magically floated through the air. It gently landed on the table directly in front of Elf. She stared in silent astonishment, then looked around at the others.
How did...
The Force.
Have questions, do you?
No. It looks good, but...
And it is just waiting to be eaten, so go ahead and enjoy.
So where's your meals?
2 more plates magically floated through the air, landing in front of Yoda and Ben. Ben's plate contained something similar to hers, but the elderly Jedi Master's plate contained root leaf stew, a favorite dish from the swamp planet Dagobah. Ben and Yoda ate while taking turns observing Ocean Elf. But she was not to be won over that easily. She moved the food around on the plate, but wouldn't eat. Anakin Vader returned. Ben must have taken this as some kind of cue, so tried to get the elf talking.
You may ask us anything you wish.
Obi-Wan said kindly.
It is very easy to ask questions.
Okay. Are you all in this together? And how do I get out of here?
Before Ben or Yoda could come up with anything to say to that tough question, Anakin Vader stuck his figurative big nose in again.
If you are to ask about my suit and what exactly happened to me, I am willing to tell you my tale. It, alas, is a tale that is not to be told, but should you ask, I shall tell it. I do wish I could get out of this wretched thing.
He couldn't stand not being center of attention or getting his own way. All others were there to serve him when all was said and done. Surely the elf would comply in the presence of Ben and Yoda.
For the freaking zillionth time, not interested!
I have heard tales of an old sand person who is a shaman.
So why not just use the Force to summon that person instead of me? If you could bring me here, you can bring them as well. And you can tell them about your problems yourself. And don't tell me you brought me here to go looking for that person and fetch them for you, because that order is turned down flat.
Everyone stared at her with aghast expressions.
I haven't the foggiest freaking idea where that person is, who they are, what they look like, and I have heard enough about your stupid suit to last me a whole lifetime. I have 0 questions for you, sir.
Overwhelmed is our stranger in a strange land. Our motives you mistrust and understand we do. But Elf, an errand girl you are not. The problem Anakin faces, a catch-22 it is. For he cannot heal until the Emperor is vanquished. Yet the Emperor cannot be vanquished by him until he gets some strength and help. The old sand person, a shaman healer he is, and a little temporary relief he might bring. Many other healers from different lands have tried, and heal Anakin, they could not. So in his desperation, many galaxies he probed, searching for someone who might ally with him against the Emperor.
What a crock. The answer is no.
Ocean, listen! Much effort has drained him. All of his hopes dashed until the Force probe discovered a raging sea storm in which a thoroughly evil entity perished at your hand.
Don't even go there with that. Any of my missions are none of Anakin's business. And if this old shaman you keep going on about is supposed to be so powerful, then he should be able to heal him whether the Emperor is around or not.
No more strength does Anakin have. Not even enough to bring the old sand person here. Die he might in the attempt. Defeated first the Emperor must be, only then can Anakin be helped.
Anakin Darth Vader here was still strong enough to zap me off my home planet all the way over here, set up a no-go zone so that I couldn't get back home. So no, he's not out of strength, not by 100 light years. If that Emperor really is still kicking around and you want someone to help destroy him, I can do that, but I will not ally with the likes of Anakin Vader. Understand? The shaman healing stuff, you're going to have to figure that out on your own. And I'm not staying any longer than I absolutely have to. I'm going to make my way out of here somehow.
Elf, please!
No ifs, ands, buts, or excuses. You never should have worked for Sidious Palpatine in the first place, and you never should have brought me here. And I'll make you pay for every benefit you get from my being here!
Elf!
Yoda said frantically, reaching out to take hold of her forearm. The elf pulled her arm away, but looked at Yoda.
I mean it!
Well, let us end the supper and settle in. The twin suns are setting and it is almost time for rest.
The elf made no response other than turn sullenly away from the others.
Yoda, could you show Elf where she'll be staying for the night?
That I will.
Yoda found some night clothes for Elf and gave her a toothbrush that was still in its package. He waited outside until she was in bed, then got her an extra blanket. He spread it over her while she recoiled under the first blanket.
Learn a great deal you will. Very cold it gets here on Tatooine nights. A desert planet Tatooine is, so one must be careful and stay safe.
But his effort to make sure she would be comfortable physically did nothing to ease her distress. The elf made no reply. Then it was Yoda's turn to mess up.
Learn from Anakin you will.
The fangirl had him orbiting around Anakin Vader, just like all characters whenever she wrote them. The elf threw back just enough of the blanket for Yoda to see her livid face.
No! Learn from Anakin I will not! That man is no expert in anything that really matters, and he has no right to treat me as his freaking Padawan. If you want me to stick around, keep him out of my way.
She turned away in the bed. Padawan is a Star Wars term. It basically means a young student, or Jedi in training.
Sorry I am. Upsetting you was not my intention.
I want nothing to do with him. I don't want to see him, don't want to hear any more about or from him. He had some nerve spiriting me here like that, and that's only scratching the surface.
Truly sorry I am that distressed you are. Rash are the ideas and acts that come from desperation. But sleep we shall, and feel better I hope we all will in the morning.
She remained silent and sullen.
Get some rest, Ocean Elf.
With that, Yoda finally went on his way.
Learn from Anakin, you will. Screw that!
Soon she tried settling down to rest or sleep. The transport had taken a lot out of her, and so did the stress of the whole situation. Suddenly she let out a sharp gasp, and tears spilled from her eyes. Not wanting to dampen the pillow, she rolled from her side onto her back and furiously wiped away the tears with her hands. She didn't know how long she spent sobbing, tossing, and turning, but eventually, when she subsided, she sat up abruptly and swung her legs out from under the blanket to stand up. For a few moments, she stood in silent concentration. Then she took her phone out. Thank goodness it hadn't run out of battery and could connect to Tatooine internet here. Then she did some searches about Anakin, and sure enough, found what she had suspected, now confirmed. Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, had indeed committed kidnappings and torture. Not only that, but on a far more massive scale than she had known about. Then, to top it all off, Vader had the audacity to invade her property, her space, and did not merely steal something from her, he stole her, and that was a violation she could never excuse. Elf gave herself some time to calm down. Then she crawled back into bed. From now on, no one was ever going to just spirit her away to somewhere else without her consent again. Anyone who tried would pay for it. But she knew she couldn't try getting away until everyone was asleep. And try she would. Lying awake in her room, the elf continued to seethe. Finally, she'd had enough, and decided it was time to do something about it. She said earlier that she was going to get out of this place somehow, even if it meant calling one of the fairies back at Mission HQ for help. Elf threw the blanket off, sprang out of bed, then hastily got dressed, tossing the night clothes that had been given her on the bed, as if they were something she was glad to be rid of. Then she headed quietly, cautiously out, looking for any signs of activity. As there seemed to be none, she continued on her way. The logical thing to do was retrace her steps from her sleeping quarters back to the meeting room where the meal and discussion had taken place the night before. Beyond that, she thought she could make out a door that led outside. Sure enough, and it opened without any difficulty. Ocean Elf stepped outside, walked some distance away from the compound, and concentrated as she felt in her pocket for her device. Clicking the home button 4 times returned her home. This time, much to her relief, it worked.